Hello, this is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. We are here to talk life topics. Happy New Year. This is 2020. We're super excited of all the great things that Straight Talk will be doing and all the deep life conversations that we will be having. Today, I have here Ruben Santiago, and he is the founder of COP, Keeping Kids Out of Prison. He started this organization with the ultimate goal to keep the prison population at its lowest. He has been through many challenges, from a parent addicted to drugs, dying of HIV, growing up in foster care, serving time in youth detention and prison. And he's taken all of these challenges and he's using them to inspire others. So many of us, I know at least me, I am very ignorant to a lot of what our youth is going through in the foster care system, being adopted, going through youth detention centers, prisons, all of that stuff. I'm a little ignorant to all that stuff. So we are here to gain some knowledge, and hopefully he will drop some knowledge on us today. So welcome, Ruben. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
I think it's awesome that you have started this organization, and so we're going to dig into that.
Yes.
But before we do, I always put everybody on the hot seat.
Yes.
So you're in the hot seat.
Okay.
And I just want you to let our viewers know who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Reubens Santiago. I have my organization called KOP, which I started about 3 years ago. I love what I do. Like I said, I've been through bad experiences. A lot of people that do organizations speaking about foster homes, prison, they all have their PhDs. Like, I lived this. This is why it was a big thing to me to start it,
right?
Because I lived it, a very harsh experience. Like, the prison life is just, it's horrible. Like, you're treated like an animal in there.
Right.
And I never want to see our youth go through what I went through. So, if I could talk to 100 kids, if just one kid or two kids get my message and see what I've been through and be like, you know what, I don't want to live that life. I don't want to go to prison. I accomplished what I was trying to accomplish. Right.
And so your organization right now is out of Connecticut?
Yes, out of New London, Connecticut.
Okay. Is that where, how long have you been doing that? Is it like fairly new or something?
I've been doing it for 3 years. Like, it's been going on and on for 3 years. But I'm also into, I don't know if I told you, I also joined an organization called CT Bail Fund. Okay. We bond people out of jail for free.
Okay. Wow.
So it's a lot of people make mistakes. They don't have the money to bond out. Their families doesn't have the money to bond out. Right. So we have grants, and we go in like let's say you're locked up. I'll just come on a Monday and be like, oh, come on down. We're talking, and you're looking at me like, people are looking, and this is what's the blessing in it. You don't know me. Right. And you're just looking at me like, all right, well, am I getting out of jail? Like, yeah, we're going to get you out. Do you have family support when you get home? Yes. All right, do you have kids? All right, we're going to get you home to your kids. Meet us every Wednesday. We're going to go over your case, and we're going to help you beat your case. Wow. We're going to help. Everybody makes mistakes. So you got to understand, the judge sees about 80 people a day. Everybody's coming upstairs with brown uniforms. You're nobody to him. You're just another brown uniform. All right, 5 years today, 10 years today, go downstairs. Wow. But if you're coming to court dressed presentable, Your Honor, I made a mistake. I was driving drunk, but I took 10 DUI classes. You're showing the judge and the prosecutors that you're a human being, right, and you just deserve a chance. Right. You know what? I'm glad you did that. Case dismissed. Go about your way. We help people get their life together. You know what I mean?
Wow, so it's not just, then it's not just bailing them out then. I mean, it sounds like you were invested.
Oh no, we invested too. We let these people know you're human beings. Right. You made a mistake. Some people, we get out some addicts. Some people blow us off. Yeah. We bond them out. We'll never hear from them again. Majority, about 80% of the people, they stick by us. They're like, you know what? I do need your help. I don't even have money for a lawyer. We got you. Don't worry about it. This couple weeks ago, we bonded out 80 people. Wow. We had a holiday bailout. We bonded out 80 people for free for them to be home with their family for Christmas. Wow. Every year we bond out 100 to 50 women for them to be home on Mother's Day, for them to be home with their kids.
Right.
Absolutely free.
Right. Wow. That's huge.
Yes.
All right, so that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I forgot to. I didn't mention that.
No, that's awesome. No, I'm glad you brought that up because I don't even know if people know that that's out there. So
they don't.
No.
And one of the people I networked with, he was telling me, he's like, I need you to do this with me, and then so I'm looking at him like, buying people out for free. He's like, bro, we get them out for absolutely just signature. So they gave me a test run. I had a friend that she got in a real bad domestic situation. She was hit with a gun. Her boyfriend was beating her for like 3 hours. He went to sleep. She got up, grabbed the gun, and ran outside. He called the cops on her and said, oh, there's a girl running down the street with a gun. They arrest her.
Right.
I told him the situation. He said, you know what, let's go get her. She's been out about 7 months now, and she goes to court in 2 weeks, and they're going to dismiss her case.
Yeah.
So, and
she was protecting herself. So,
yeah, but they were like upset that I bonded her out. They was like, oh, why did you get her out? She's in risk and da-da-da. I'm like, no, let's get her into it. They have this place called Safety Futures for women. It's like a domestic shelter.
Okay.
And the first month we was out, we was calling every day. And we were just giving the runaround. I'm like, all right, if this woman is such in danger, why are you not getting her the help?
Yeah.
And they like...
So, it's a catch-22, right? Yeah.
So we got her the help. She's working 3 jobs. She showed the judge, listen, I took this class, but I'm the victim at the end of the day, but in the end of the day, I'm also a human being. This happened to me, and she's going to beat her case, so.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great,
Yeah,
Ruben.
so
really
that makes
great.
me feel good inside.
It should, because that's a really great thing. And I want to go back to Ruben, okay? And I want to go back to like stuff that you've been through, because I'd like to touch on why you're even where you are right now doing this kind of work that you're doing, because I'd like people to understand your journey, what you've been through, and why you're doing what you're doing, right? Because I think so many people, and I know I've had friends who have been to prison. I've had family members who've been to prison, and I know that it is a struggle, because when they come out, they are trying to be better people, and sometimes you can do one of two things. Either you go, screw it, and then you just keep screwing up because that's the attitude you get after trying so hard, or you do what Ruben does, and which is taking all of that experience and say, yeah, I've been through so much, but now I'm going to do something to change something, right? As opposed to just, screw it, So absolutely. I wanted to talk to you about that, because I was reading a lot of about you and all your things you've been through, and I know that you have been in the foster care system, and I believe you were adopted at like 12 or 10 or 13.
Yep.
And I wanted you to kind of talk to us about that. Like, did you have siblings that went through this with you? Did you go through the foster care system by yourself? Like, why even go through the foster care system? Like, what was it like growing up? What happened there?
Well, growing up, I was born in Minnesota. My mother started dealing with this guy when I was about 2, and he was very abusive. Was beating her all the time, and it would time I would come home from school, it would just be blood all over the house. It would look like a crime scene, and then she had my brother by this guy, and then it just got worse. Like, he was like very jealous, and I remember I was 5, and I came home from school, and I was calling for my mother. The door was like busted open, so I'm calling my mom like, mommy, mommy, mommy. So I go in the bathroom, I hear the water running, and she's like in the tub, and like she's like out of it. I'm throwing water on her face. I had to call the cops. I'm only 5.
Right.
So I call 911. He basically put her in a coma.
Oh my gosh.
She comes home 3 weeks later, and she was like, I'm done with this. And she was like, whatever you guys want, put it in your pockets. Like, whatever toys, whatever you value in this house, put it in. It better fit in your pocket. We're leaving tonight. So in my mind, I'm like, she always says this, but this night, I believed her.
Yeah.
So she was like, oh, I'm gonna go to the store. We're gonna go get some pork chops and stuff. So he was like, well, why are you taking the kids with you? So she's like, oh, no, they want some candy. So anyway, we end up we walked down the street. We went to this lady's house. And I remember, I'm 42. I remember this so vividly. She didn't even know like who we were, but she seen my mother's face, and she was like, whatever you want me to do, I'm gonna do it. I'll help you guys. So we went across town, and they put my mother in
Shelter?
A shelter, but it was like a women's battered home.
A battered women's shelter type of thing?
Yeah, so we stayed there for a week. She called my grandmother, and She called my grandmother in Connecticut. My grandmother sent her bus tickets, Greyhound tickets, and we came to Connecticut. I had just turned 6 by the time we got up here, and I've been here ever since. But then my mother she just went to this big state of depression. And my mother was a beautiful woman, like anybody from New London will tell you. My mother was beautiful. She can sing, and I just see my mother just evolve into a just abused woman. She didn't feel pretty no more. She started using drugs, and now prior to this, for the beating, in my whole life together, I've been to about 15 foster homes. I've been in foster homes in Minnesota, Detroit, Florida. We were running from him, but she would always call him and tell him where we were at, and he would just always end up following us. So when we got to New London, our first year there was rocky. She just started, just disappearing days at a time. Now by this time, it's me and 3 siblings.
Oh, 3 more.
Yes. Wow. My last brother was born crack addict.
Okay.
So I'm talking about incubator for 6 months. So the last time she left, she's like, Ruben, I'll be back. Don't open the door for anybody. And she left for like 2 days. So now I'm like, oh man, I got a 3-month-old.
Yeah.
My brother's 4, and then my sister was 2.
So you were the oldest?
Yes, I was the oldest.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I would go every day to the store, and luckily the guy who owned the Spanish store, he was really cool. He knew my grandmother and my mother, so he would let us. He would give me food for free, and I'm like, oh, my mom's gonna come back tomorrow and pay for it, so I'm getting cereal, milk. My mom had a lot of milk and stuff for my little brother. So one day the cops just showed up. I think the upstairs neighbors called the cops on, and they was like, "Where's your mother at?" And I'm like, "Oh, she went to the store. She'll be back." So they're like, "All right, we're gonna sit here and wait for her." They was there for like 2 hours.
Wow. So
then they was like, "What's your mother's name?" So I told them her name, and they was like, "Oh, your mother's in jail. your mother stabbed somebody 2 days ago during the bar fight." I was
kidding?
like,
you guys didn't know that?
No, we didn't know.
Wow, you would have been raising them little ones by yourself.
Yeah, so
well, you were.
We went to that foster home where we were split up.
Oh, that must have been hard for you.
Yeah, me and my brother, that's 4. His name is Rashad. And then I have a sister named Michael and Arena, and they split them 2 up. But what ended up happening, we were in the same projects. Like I was in B building and they were in C building in Crystal Avenue. So we seen each other all the time, and it was just a bad transfer. It was a very emotional transition, because back then in Minnesota, my mom would just get her stuff together in a week and they would give us back. This time they were like making her like go through everything. Like, no, you're gonna do rehab, you're gonna do this and that, and
they had to make sure.
Yeah. So my father, he wasn't on drugs or anything. He was a landlord. He owned buildings and stuff. He was he was very well off.
Your father?
Yes.
Okay.
We didn't all have the same fathers.
Right.
So they asked my dad, like, oh, you wanna do you want your son? Like, we're willing to give you your son. He was allowed to visit me on weekends, so I would go to his house like Friday to Sunday.
Was this in Minnesota?
No, this was in New London.
Oh, New London. Okay.
Yeah, this was still in Connecticut, and I remember one day very vividly. I was 8, and I was sitting in the rain. I ran home from school, had my stuff packed. I was waiting to go to his house, and he never came. And my foster mother was looking in the window, and we lived on the 5th floor, and she's like, Ruben, get in the house. And I remember it was pouring down rain. And I was like, no, Ma, give me 1 more hour. If he's not here in an hour, I'll come upstairs. It was about 8 o'clock at night. He usually comes about 3 or 4. So I remember just sitting in the rain that day, and I was like, I'll never treat my kids like this. Like, never. And then I'll never do this to my children. And I say about a month later, my DCF worker came to me, and they were like, your father gave you up to the state. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, I don't
what does
really,
that mean? Right.
They was like, that means he doesn't, sums it up, he doesn't want you. He gave you to us, like, and I was just like, really?
Wow, what a deep root of rejection, huh?
So it's just like, and then just coming up in Crystal, like, my role models were drug dealers.
Right.
Every day I came out the building, this is the 80s, so this is the crack era.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So
I remember it well.
Those are my heroes. Like, I didn't want to be a football player. I didn't want to be a baseball player. I wanted to grow up and be a drug dealer.
Right.
Now, my foster mother was a very Christian woman. I'm talking about, we was in church from Monday to Sunday, Saturday choir rehearsal.
Right.
So
sounds about right.
You know what I mean? But I thank God that He put me in that situation, because she loved us like her own. Like,
that's good.
Like
that's
woman,
not everybody's story, Ruben.
No. She loved us. It just, the streets and God was
Yeah.
pulling me like church, but when I leave the church, I'm seeing the nice cars, I'm
Yeah.
seeing the chains, I'm seeing the Dapper Dan suits. So, and then coming from in the projects, I'm seeing all the
And
Jordans.
rejection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started sneaking off when I would come from school. When I was in junior high, I found out where my mother lived. So I would go see her, but she was always in different crack houses. So I'm seeing my mother sitting at a table.
She was still struggling.
Yeah, smoking crack. But my mother's love for me was still, it was eternal.
Right. Yeah.
Even though I didn't look at her as, because I seen what she went through to get her to this.
Right.
And she still loved me, she's just like, and I had a conversation when I was about 12 with her. And I was like, Mommy, why did you just leave us? And she's like, Ruben, you know what? I couldn't be your mom no more. Like, I couldn't be a mother. She's like, I just felt unworthy of being your mom. She said, I'm not happy that where you're at, but I am happy where you're at. She said, because if y'all was with me right now, like, who knows what you would be.
Yeah.
And that right there made me love my mother more, because
Right.
she admitted to, what she did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She admitted to me, like, you know what,
She
Ruben,
had a
I'm
sacrifice.
sorry,
Yeah.
but this is what it was.
Yeah.
And if I didn't see it for my own eyes and see the beatings and everything, I would have just thought she was lying, but
Right.
I lived through that. So
Do you
fast forward. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No, I was going to ask you if you and your siblings are still connected today.
Yes. Me and the second oldest were like this.
That's the one that was with you in the house, right?
Yes.
And then your other two siblings, are they both girls?
No, I only have one sister.
Oh, one sister.
And then
the
I have a little brother, the one
Okay.
that was born with the crack situation.
Right.
But yeah, we're all very close.
Okay.
We all, in life, I looked at my situation that I wasn't going to let what I went through enable me in life. I wasn't going to be like, you know what, I'm going to use drugs or be an alcoholic because this happened to me, or I was in foster homes. My mother didn't love me and my dad didn't. No, I took my situation like, you know what, I'm not going to live that life.
Right.
I'm going to be this person. I'm going to be that person. And they took theirs different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Everybody's different.
They took theirs a little different. My brother doesn't, the second oldest, he really doesn't like to talk about our life. You know what I mean? Sometimes he feels like, yo, bro, we wasn't born with a silver spoon. Like, our life is never going to be good.
Right.
And, he looks up to me. Like, I'm my brother's hero.
Right.
So he's just like, I talk to him, he listens.
Right.
And so fast forwarding a little bit, I started, selling drugs, and then I had my son. My son was born in Christmas Day, 1994, and
So you were pretty young.
Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
So ended up start getting into trouble. I was a very violent person. Like my violence, my attitude.
Well, I mean, you grew up in violence.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was just, I don't tolerate disrespect. I ended up catching a case.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about that because I know that you spent 12 years in and out of correctional facilities and stuff. And what year was that? What year did you go to?
I went to prison in 96.
96.
For
then when do you think that when was the first time you sold drugs or even stepped in that? Like, how old were you?
When I first started selling drug, I was 13.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And it wasn't drugs. It was aspirin, because the starter coats, everybody used to wear the starter parkas.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, I want one of them coats. And my mother went to a church retreat down south.
Right.
And we was in the house, me and my little brother, and I was like, man, I want one of them coats. And it was like 12 o'clock at night. We had a bottle of aspirin, and we cut it up to look like crack. So I had $1,000 worth of aspirin, and I literally went out, and I was just running around the town beating everybody. I came home with like $900.
Oh my goodness.
So then I'm like, man,
wait
you
a
know
minute,
what?
that was too easy,
Yeah,
right? That's
I'm
what
like,
happened.
whoa,
You were
hold
like,
up.
wait a minute now.
So if I get some real drugs, this can turn into a lot of money.
13.
So
wow.
I'm in junior high. Yeah, I'm in junior high, coming to school with, Parker jackets, new sneakers, thousands of dollars in my pocket. I'm 13, 14.
Yeah, what's your
I'm only
mother,
in like the seventh grade.
your foster mother thinking
She
at
never
this
knew.
point?
No.
Oh, you hid those things?
Nah, she never. I had a friend that he was kind of like well off.
Okay.
So she was like, where'd you get that coat from? I'm like, oh, my friend Marlon gave it to me. And she was, I'm gonna call him right now. Oh yeah, Miss Mary, I gave him the code. Da 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 da. He's gonna bring it back to me. Yeah. So she didn't know. To this day, my mother didn't even know that. She didn't know that. So yeah. So
she's probably gonna know now.
Oh, she's gonna know now. No, we talked to her earlier.
Like don't shock her now.
I tell her things now. And like I said, I started to get into trouble, and then my first case was an attempted murder case. I ended up stabbing someone like 8 times. I got jumped out of club, actually. It was like a self-defense case, but there's no self-defense laws in Connecticut. Like I got jumped by like 6 people.
Right.
Really 15, because it's like the whole crowd jumped on me. And that was my first jail experience. It was bad.
Oh man, that must have been scary.
Yeah, it was
because,
bad.
sometimes when, at least from the people that I've known that have gone to jail, they start with like small little cases.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like one night, couple hours. You went in full-fledged.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So what year was this? Like 90, what you say?
My son was 1 about the time.
Oh, wow.
When I first caught that case, and then I caught another second-degree assault. I had another fight with this kid, and was baseball bat involved. Right. So now, while I'm going to court.
So how long was your first stint in?
All right, so my first stint was 5 years.
Okay, which is a long time.
Yeah, my first stint was 5 years, 85% if it's a violent crime. So I'm going to court. I beat the attempted murder case. Okay. They gave me 5 years probation. But while I'm going to court, I catch the second-degree assault. So I'm trying to not let this warrant pop out. So I get sentenced. They're like, we give you 5 years probation today. I leave the courthouse. I had court the next day for the second degree. And they was like, oh, you just got probation yesterday. We're looking at the paper. I was like, yeah. So like, all right, you're going to do that 5 years today. And I was like, wow.
Oh, that must have been painful.
I was like, wow.
That must have been wow.
So
tell us about that experience, right? Because I think that's one of the things that is being glorified on TV, on shows.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I watch some of these shows and I'm like, why are they trying to make it feel like prison is like a cool thing?
No.
Completely, it is not a cool thing, right?
No.
So they take these cameras to these prisons for these little shows. That camera is not there 24/7. You're not seeing what's happening behind those closed doors, So tell us a little bit about your experience. That must have been very terrifying.
Yeah. So my first experience, everybody that knows, it's called Little Cheshire, MYI, Gladiator School. They wasn't even supposed to send me there because you have to be there till you're 19. I was 20, so I wasn't even supposed to even be there. So I'm asking the guards, like, why y'all sending me here? I'm not supposed to be, I'm too old to be here. And he was like, oh, listen, this is where the judge told us to send you. So I'm like, all right. Literally first 2 hours I'm in my cell. My cellie was like, oh, I like your sneakers, don't take them off. And he was in the Elm City gang. And I'm just like, I'm already annoyed that I got locked up that day.
Yeah,
I'm like, hold up, man, I just started 5 years today. Like, nah, we're not going to do this.
That's something to think about, right?
So we end up fighting. I end up really hurting them. CO came, they put me I was in the hole for like 3 months. Then I end up going to another jail.
Can I ask you what the hole is for those of us who don't know?
The hole is you in one cell all day in your boxers.
Oh my gosh. So it's like solitary confinement.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. You're in one
that.
cell.
3 months. How do you even survive that?
Oh, I'm gonna tell you later. I was in there for a year too. So I go to another jail in Brooklyn, Connecticut, and the jail experience it's a different world from out here. Like you have to literally train. You got to retrain your mind. You have to be an animal. Like when you go in, your attitude has to be like, don't nobody mess with me. There's people there in there that seek the weak.
Yeah.
If they as soon as you put your game face off and people see that they can get over on you,
you're done.
You're food. With food is like you're a victim. Like, all right, you know what? If you don't have your people send us $50 or you don't give me all your food, then this is gonna happen to you. Like if they can get over on you, and once they find out that you're weak, you're done. Right. So you know what I mean?
So it's always fighting for your survival.
You gotta have that you don't care attitude. Like, you know what I mean? You don't care attitude. And I got tested. I was there for like a year and a half. And I got tested by a guy that I was actually cool with. And we had a petty argument, and I had just lost my mother. My mother died. And
your biological mother?
My biological mother died of AIDS. And I'll never forget the day my mother and my son came to see me. I mean, my son's mother, he came to see me, and she was just like, oh, you know, your mother passed away. And I was just like, I fell to the ground. Like I was mad. Like, so I went back to my bunk and I just laid there, and I don't know, he started messing with me, and I'm not telling him what happened. I'm just like, yo, man, chill out, you know, da-da-da. So we ended up having a fight, but the guards didn't see it. So he's like all bloody, he's under the covers. So they do count, and the CO is like, when you do count, you got to stand up. If you're on your bed, you got to stand up. They got to physically see you. Mm-hmm. So I was laying on my bed, and he was like, oh, you know, get up. And I'm like, nah, man, you know. So the other CO was like, no, he lost his mom today. So it was like an a-hole guard. He was like, I don't care, he's going to stand up. So I ended up fighting like 6 guards.
Oh my God!
So they had the dogs on me.
You had a little bit of a temper,
that
dude.
That day was just like, I didn't care.
That was a bad day.
So they sent me to Osborne, and for assault on a CO, they gave me, I had, my sanction was a year. Like I did a year, no, about 9 months in the hole, and that experience kind of like broke me.
Yeah.
Because you're in there, it literally it took 3 doors to get to my cell. You come out every day. I mean, you get 2 showers a week, and you can use the phone 1 time a day, 1 time a week. When they call you to take a shower, you got to have your towel around your neck. You got to be naked or in your boxers, and you got to turn around and they handcuff you. And handcuff you backwards, and then they take you out the cell and bring you in the shower and turn you around again. So you're taking a shower like this.
Oh wow!
It's a little,
like a little link.
Yeah. So you're able to take a shower, but that's how you took a shower. So I got out of that situation. I was in there for like almost a year. Like I said, about 9 months.
So that's tough because a year, yeah, that could break anybody.
Oh yeah.
But like, so when we come back, I want to talk to you about treatment. You know, how do you feel like they treat people there? I like that you talked about that you feel like you have to almost become an animal. Mm-hmm. So I want to touch on those things, and then I want to talk about how you take all of those challenges and do something with it. Yes. Okay, so we're going to do that when we come back. So thank you so much for watching. This is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Don't you dare move. We will be right back. Hello, this is Nina Perez, and welcome back. This is Straight Talk, No Sugar Added, and this is where we discuss life topics. So we have been talking to Ruben Santiago about some serious life challenges and things that I think we need more knowledge on. We are, I would speak for myself, I'm very ignorant to a lot of things that happens to our youth, and I want to talk to Ruben about how we can help the youth think of things better than selling drugs and, thinking that they're not worthy to have better and more in their life. So that's what we're discussing. We were talking to Ruben about all of the challenges he's been through. And Ruben, you were sharing with us that you did a 5-year bid for a fight that you got into, and it was an attempted murder charge or something,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And then you had gotten out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were out for a few years, and then you were telling me that you went back in.
Yes.
And you went back in for a federal charge this
yes.
time, right?
Yes.
Also, Ruben just shared with me some pretty sad news, because was it the second time you went in that your son was ill?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that experience.
So that experience, my son went to his prom. Everything was going great.
So he was about 16,
he was
17,
16 years old,
16?
And he just complained of a migraine. Me and his mother was taking him to the doctors. They was like, I remember we went to the doctors, and they was like, they did a CAT scan, and they was like, come back. It was on a Friday. They said, come back Monday, or we'll give you the results. But as soon as we got to the parking lot, they called us back, and they was like, your son has used brain tumor. We was like, what? He was like, your son's never been sick? We was like, no. All right, he needs emergency surgery. So about 3 to 4 weeks later, he passed away. So, you know, every day I'm at the hospital, you know, just by his side.
So you weren't in jail at this time?
No.
You weren't in custody at this time? Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
So one morning, his mother called me and she was like, I had went home. I was like really tired. I had to go change clothes and stuff. So she's like, yo, just go home, take a day to yourself, relax, get some sleep. I was like, okay. So then she calls me, she's like, get up here, Ruben just flatlined, he's not doing well. So I'm flying, and like I get to the end of my street and I just see all these, like literally there was not one car on my street. And I get to the stop sign and I turn, I just hear freeze. And I'm looking, and there's a gun in my face. I'm like, what? Like, what's going on? And then all these cops came out of nowhere.
Oh my gosh.
And they arrested me for something that I did a long time ago. And they was like, oh, you know, you got a warrant for this and that. And I'm like, what? So I'm in the cell and I'm crying. I'm begging these cops, like, listen, let me out.
Awful.
My son is my son is dying. He has cancer, and they're laughing at me like, oh, you know, we heard the stories before. Da, da. I'm like, no, like I'm like begging. They're not even trying to hear me. So it's a Friday. So they was like, well, you can't see a judge till Monday. So for like about 6 hours, nobody knew where I am. My wife thinks I'm at the hospital. My son's mother's calling my phone. Where are you at? I'm like kidnapped. Nobody. Right. They're not letting me make a phone call.
So wrong.
So, you know, this was the turning point in my life, because I feel that the most important time in my son's life that he needed me, I wasn't there.
Right.
You know, my son passed when I was in the jail cell.
Okay.
And I got to live with that every day.
Right.
And that tortured my soul to this day.
Right.
You know, and he died in 2011. And for me not to be by his side, it's
and out of your control too. Like,
yeah,
you didn't expect that to happen. Like,
you know, and just like the second time that somebody I really was close, like my mother. You know, my mother had AIDS, and I feel like she lived all the way. Like, I was her strength. You know what I mean? Even though she did drugs and stuff, me and my mother was still, you know, night and day. Like, we still had this bond and connection. Yeah. You know, and I feel as soon as I went away, she just gave up.
Right. And
to relive it, you know, was like, you know, my wife came to see me in Rhode Island. That's where they had me locked up at. And so I'm all happy to see her, like, hey, babe, how you doing? And she was just like looking at me with this stare, like, she had my T-shirt on. I could remember it like yesterday. She had my T-shirt on, and she was just like, I'm like, how you doing? And she was just looking at me, and I was like, how's Ruben? Like, how is he? Did he get better? Did he come up out of it? And she was just like, babe, he fought. And I'm like, he fought? What do you mean? She's like, babe, he fought as hard as he could. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, babe, he's gone. And I can't even tell you the feeling. Oh, no, like, I got on my knees and I was just like, God, whatever I did in life, I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, God, don't do this to me. Don't take my son. Take me. You see my life. You know, my son had this big future. He was the greatest. He was a makeup artist, a photographer, a model. And it's just like I'm flipping tables, and the SEALs are just standing, and they felt my pain. Right. They just let me do whatever I wanted to do. But I end up getting out, burying my son, and I went back for the violation later on. They let me get out to bury my son. After I buried my son, the feds came and put me back in jail. And that whole time I'm like, all right, Ruben, this is your change.
Right.
It has to stop. Like, how wasn't you there for your child?
Right.
How was you there for your child?
Right.
And I was just like, you know what? I need to change. You know, I need to change it around now. Now these kids need to be home for their kids. I mean, I want them to grow over to be men, to be fathers, to be always in the home. A lot of people that get locked up, men, as soon as they go in front of a judge, why did you do this? Well, you know, Your Honor, my father wasn't in my life. That's the most biggest excuse when people get a sentence. Oh, you know, my dad wasn't there. My mom raised me. So I also teach like fatherhood classes. You know what I mean? I want men. A lot of people don't understand that the male presence in the home is very important.
So important.
Especially to young women. You know, they don't have the men in their homes, and they out in the streets looking for that father figure or that father love.
Yep.
and it's not always a good situation.
Yeah. And most of the kids you even speak to, like I used to have a lot of friends who were in gangs.
Yes.
That's what they were looking for too, was
Yes,
family.
that's true.
They wanted love and they wanted family.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm gonna change that rhetoric. I'm gonna change that all around. You know what I mean? So
How long did you have to? How long were you in prison and had to sit with that? Like.
So I went back for a year and 3 months.
And in that time of the year and 3 months you were there, you started changing your mindset, started changing what you were thinking?
The KLP came in my mind.
Okay.
You know, I sat down and I just came up with a game plan. You know, I wanted to start speaking in the schools, and you know, I didn't really think it was going to work.
Right.
But I was so dedicated to it.
Right.
I was like, you know what, no. And the cop was like, it's like an acronym, not to make fun of the police.
Right.
Because I'm a felon and everybody knows, like, oh, so a felon is calling himself a cop? Like, yeah, I'm keeping kids out of prison.
Right.
So I'm going to the schools, you know, I'm talking to kids. I'm in the neighborhood all the time. I give a lot to my community.
Right.
You know, my son was born on Christmas Day, so every year I have big toy drives. And every year I give away a lot of stuff. You know, a lot of people give me stuff, you know, so just.
So you're honoring your son as
yes,
well.
Yes. So even in that perspective, it makes me feel good. That's how I celebrate Christmas. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like now that you are doing this, you're turning this around, so do you ever feel like that's it? You will never see behind those walls again? Like that is it, right? Yeah. Ruben's done.
Yes.
Ruben is
I have really bad PTSD. Like I have nightmares. I'm in jail. Like and a lot of people doesn't understand that either. Like that a jail experience is bad. Like my wife will tell you, my wife can't wake. She has to like go by the door to wake me. Like she can't even kiss me in the morning if she's going to work.
Right. Because you have
like I grab her. Yeah. Like one day I almost broke her arm. You know, one day I like kicked her across the room. Like she can't come near me. Like I just have this. I'm always in attack mode. Like you know what I mean. I was sleeping one day and I got hit in the head with a pad and a lock. Like they put 3 locks. You know, like a combination lock and a sock. And I was hitting the head with that. So I'm always on. I barely even sleep.
On high alert.
Yeah. So it's a bad experience coming home from that. So you know, and I just want to just tell people that done prison time, like just don't give up. There's going to be. I went through a lot of stuff with my wife when I first met her. Like a lot of just
trusting people. Right?
Yeah. Doing job interviews, have to put that. I have a record on my my application.
That's the hardest thing.
That's a lot of times I wanted to give up. I'm like, you know what, man? I just need to go back to selling drugs. That's what I know.
Yeah.
But my wife just, no, babe, no, I got you. And I just wasn't never used to a woman taking care of me, but she helped me to that level that I got myself back. I started to love myself more. I started walking. You know, I went in a dark place when I came back when my son passed. When I came home in 2012, I was, my first 3 to 4 years, I was just like in this deep depression.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, and I just had to snap out of it. But I was determined, I had a driving force to get to these kids. You know what I mean? We're losing, as parents, we're losing to Facebook, Instagram, social media. We're battling our parenthood with this stuff. Yeah. So if you're not putting that impression in your kid's mind and drilling in them now, like, yo, listen, that's all fake. That's not real. Behind them walls is real. When you get behind them walls, you know, let's say you get I had CEOs that had bad days. I had a CEO, his name was Cigar. He used to put glass in my sandwiches, razors, like, you know what I mean? Like razors in your cake. So like, literally, I would never eat their food. I would only eat my food that I bought from commissary. Because, you know, you got CEOs that come there and they're having a bad day. Let's say their wife just cheated on them or left them. So now they come home, they come to the jail, to their job, and they take it out on you.
Right.
They go in your cell. They can go in your cell and rip all your pictures down of your wives and your kids, and there's nothing you can do. There's nothing. Oh, this is not supposed to be on the wall. This is contraband. Right. Tear it down, rip it up. Right. Take your pen, or you're only supposed to have one pen.
You're
Give me
not
this
treated
pen.
like humans.
At all.
Right.
You know, your people come to see you. You got to.
Did you have any good COs?
Yeah. Yes. I actually had a CO. A lot of them are. They don't feel sorry, but they understand.
Yeah.
You know, you talk to them, and you know, I'll never forget in 2000 when I was released. You know, I'm putting my clothes on and I'm about to leave, and I said to the CO,
must have been
I'm
a
never,
good feeling.
yeah, I'm like, I'm never coming back here. And the CO, I'm not put the white and black race card. He was a white guy.
Right.
A black CO didn't even say this to me. He said, son, if I had a quarter, he said, you know what? He said, I've been here 20 years. If I had a penny, but every time I heard that, I'd be retired.
Wow.
That you guys say you're not coming back. He said, you know what? Put me in retirement. That was the most influential thing anybody said to me.
Right.
And I was like, wow. He said, yeah, he said, put me in retirement. Shut these jails down. You guys stop coming in here. This is a revolving door. And it is. You come home, and, and God willing, 2020 is posted. I pray the guys that I'm networking with, we're trying to build like factories for people can come home and build, make mattresses. We're looking for factories now. We're trying to get the federal government money now to build these things for these people to come home and get jobs. Because coming home and get a job and putting that on there is like, now they're looking at you like, all right, but just thank God when I came home in 2008, I had a guy, his name was David Griswold, and I was working in Mystic, very white prestige town, and he gave me a shot. I said, listen, I have a record, give me a shot. He said, you know what, I'm gonna do that. I was starting at $10, I was making $10, $15 an hour. Within 2 months, I was making $15.
What kind of work?
I was doing catering. I was doing catering, so I was setting up weddings. I was in charge of the liquor.
Yeah, but more than that, it just made you feel
good,
so,
sure. He put a responsibility on me, and I impressed him. I was there for 7 years.
Wow.
And by the time before I left, I was making almost $19 an hour.
Good for you.
So, he was a guy that,
You needed a chance.
And we're like this to this day. Like I can call him for anything. When my son passed, he gave me a nice envelope of money because I wasn't working. So he's like, Ruben, listen here. Whenever you want your job back, just come back. I went back for a violation. I remember I went back to jail after my son died. When I got out, he gave me my job right back. He said, come back, we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
So, he gave me that chance and opportunity, and I showed him, and I was determined, and I worked my butt off. Like, all we need is a chance.
Right.
But you got so many people that will close the door on you just because you have a record. We're
how do we
humans.
change that in prison, though?
Ooh.
Right? Because in prison is where you're defending yourself all the time, right? If only that could be changed in prison, because maybe if we didn't have so many people thinking that they all had to be defending themselves, right? Like if they're not, and I know I'm asking a big ask. I mean, that's a huge ask, right? Because people are already going in there with advantages.
Yes.
They're already going in there hurt. They're already going in there in pain. And people who were supposed to love and take care of them weren't. Not all of them, but a lot of them, right?
Yes.
And so they're already going in feeling like animals.
Yes.
So that's a very difficult thing to take somebody's mindset and change it around.
Yes.
You did that, but you had to go through some hard times to do that, because it took you a few times, right? Mm-hmm. So now what you're trying to do, from what I see, what COP is you're trying to take all those experiences, and I'm assuming what you're doing is you're trying to tell these kids it's not everything is cracked up to be.
No.
All
that glitters ain't gold.
Exactly.
And which is sad, because back then, it was like a rite of passage to go to jail, like to go to court. Like, up in the court again, that's, man, it's not cracked up what it's to be, because like I said, every day. And then when I went to the federal penitentiary, like I literally, for my own eyes, seen 5 people lose their lives since I was there. I was there for 3 years.
Wow.
And I seen people just don't go home. I've been around lifers, I've been around people that have double life. And it's just like, I've been around innocent men that literally say, I ain't do this. And I believe them. Right. Because I've been around so many people, I know who's liars and who's not. Yeah. But I've been around, and like I said, especially in federal prison is just, like, I was on, I was in, they sent me to Ohio, and then they put you on a plane. You're on an airplane, like literally the plane got like duct tape on it. Like it was crazy back then. Oh my gosh. So that experience was
that's so bad.
Yeah, that experience was crazy.
There has to be a way to change this system, right? I mean, I think there are organizations that are trying to change the system, and at least trying to help the men and women that are in there be better. They don't have to be what the correction officer or the facility tries to make you feel like.
Yeah.
You know?
But a lot of people, you have to, which I'm trying to teach now.
Yes.
You have, even with inmates, like I'm not even talking about little kids or young adults that haven't been in trouble yet. I'm even trying to teach the inmates.
That's good.
Like, listen, you have to want this. Like federal prison, you can get your college degree. Like I have a friend of mine, he came home about 4 years ago. He's a fitness trainer. He has his certification in nutrition. He has a certification in electrician. Like he had like about 5 years to go. He said, you know what? I'm going to take everything that I can.
Good for him.
He got 5 college courses. He has his
if they all did that, how
college
much
diploma. Yeah. So you have to want it.
You have to
you
want
have to want it. In the federal, they
it.
don't let you, this is a good thing in the federal system. They don't let you just sit. You don't sleep all day. You have to be out of your cell at 6 o'clock every morning. You're either going to go to school or you're going to have a job. You got 2 options. So they know if you have your GED or not. If you don't have your GED, you have to go to school. There's no, I'm not going. No. 6 in the morning till 3 o'clock every day, you're in school.
Oh, that's good.
You're in school.
So they're making
if you're gonna go there,
trying to make you be productive.
Yeah, if you're going to go there and go to sleep, that's your business. But you're in school from 6 in the morning till 3 o'clock, rec.
Right.
You're in school. So, like I said, you just have to grasp onto it. It's got to be a time in your life that you say, you know what, enough is enough as a man. You know, our children, the prison system is dividing a lot of families.
Yeah.
Like I said, to me, the male presence in the home, it doesn't matter if you're with your baby's mama or not. Take care of your children.
Yeah.
If she's not letting you see your children, go to the courts. I have 3 friends now. They went to the courts and their visitation rights. Their children are allowed to see their kids. Stay at their house now. Fight for your children. The kids ain't asked to come here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when you go to jail, now you're out there, your kids are out there just, fatherless.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I got this, maybe they got in their concept in their mind, like, oh, you know what, maybe jail is where it's supposed to be. No. Yeah. You got to change that rhetoric around, you know what I mean? And like I said, it has to be in you.
COP, your organization goes into the prisons? Are
Yes.
you allowed to do? Oh, you are?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Because I know that you do a lot of different things for trying to keep the kids out of prison.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that you also had the opportunity to go into the prison.
I speak to inmates in there and just tell them, you know what, I was here one day.
Do you do like classes or something?
Yeah.
Or, you do?
Yeah, I do vision board. I do vision board events.
Oh, you do it in there?
And stuff like,
That's fantastic.
Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And, we do the magazines and, they're like, I do it, my vision board, I have 2 vision boards. So I show the kids my vision board when I was 18, where I wanted to be in life when I was 18. I had the jewelry. I put up, picture of money, jewelry, cars, houses, drugs.
I bet you didn't have a picture of prison on there, right?
No. So then I showed them my vision board of reality where the cars and stuff got me. I got a vision board with all my friends' faces that I lost to the drug game and to the streets.
Wow.
And it's almost like 20 individuals,
Wow.
my friends. And I look, these are all the people that I've lost in the streets, to the street life. This is where it's going to get you. And then I show them a picture of my son. I said, you see this kid right here? Yeah, he looks like a model. That's my son. So my bad decisions led me sitting in a jail cell, and my son passed away, and I wasn't there for him.
Right.
So the street doesn't love you. The streets don't. Yeah, the streets don't love you.
Vision.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is what I'm teaching. Yeah, I go to school and I teach that to kids. I bring them 3 vision boards, and the last picture I show is my son. I'm like, you know what? This is where the street life got me. My son passed away, and I was in a jail cell. When he needed me, I wasn't there.
Right.
And they just look at me and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Leave these streets alone. They don't love you. Them streets don't love you.
So can you give us just like maybe just a couple of like really golden nuggets, right, that you would give kids or even men to keep them on a path? Like, how do you change somebody's perspective even a little bit? Like, what can you say to somebody to just say, we need to flip this?
First of all, you got to have a plan. You got to have a goal.
Got to have a plan.
You got to have a goal and a plan. Write it down. This is where I want to be in a year. We're not even, the way life is going now, we can't even give ourselves 5 years.
Right.
Every year, this is what I want to do.
Right.
This is going to work. Right now, there's not a lot of, I'm going to speak for my town. there's not a lot of recreation these kids can go to. You know what I mean? Now it's smoking weed and drinking. You know, I'm driving by, I see kids 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, they're like 11, 12. Like, what are y'all doing outside?
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of, when I was growing up, my mom had us involved in so much stuff. Like, I was playing football, baseball. Then they had this place called the Martin Center. You can go there and play basketball till such and such a time at night. They was throwing, we had a place called CRC. They would throw parties for little kids every Friday. You know, so we would go in there and party till like 9 o'clock at night. But we were little kids, you know, and music and stuff.
Keep your kids busy, or keep yourself busy.
There's not enough
doing good things, of course, right? So keeping yourself busy sounds like one of them, and definitely having a plan. I think that's huge right there. Just having the plan, because most of us don't have a plan, and then when you are trying to aim at nothing, you hit nothing, right? So I know that you host young teen and men vision board events.
Yes.
You also do a lot of serious issue events where you talk about serious issues and things like that. And I want to know how people can get in contact with you, because I think that once this airs out, you know, this is going to be touching a lot of people's hearts, not just people who are in prison or people who are in jail or in juvie, but what about the parents? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if we can hire Ruben to come and do a vision board party for my son and his kids who are acting a fool right now, and they need to get their act together, type of thing, right?
Yes.
Do you do that?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Okay, great. So what I want you to do is share with us how somebody can get in contact with you
to get in contact with me. I'm on Facebook, social media, Ruben Santiago, and I'm on Instagram at Little Ruben 100, LILRUBEN.
Little Ruben
100.
Yep.
Yes.
Can they email you as well?
Yes, my email is
Ruben John 2014, right? Ruben John 2014 at gmail.com.
Yes.
So you need a website.
That's what my wife's working on. We're working on that now.
You need to get a website.
We're working on that now.
You're doing a lot of great things, and people have to know how to get in contact with you. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Super proud of you, because I know.
And CT Bail Fund. You guys need anybody to get out of jail. We only really do $5,500 and less.
CT Bail Fund.
CT Bail Fund.
CT Bail.
You can get in contact with me
Fund.
through that also. You know, if you have a loved one, auntie, uncle. Right now, I'm only covering New London part, so Corrigan and Niantic. But my partner, he's doing New Haven, Waterbury, Hartford. But like I said, contact me, give me the name, the birth date, the bond. We don't do high bonds, so don't call me 150,000, 200. That's, you know, it's kind of steep. But we do 50. But we take 8,000, 10,000.
Yeah.
You know, certain circumstances, you know, we go get them people out.
Well, I will definitely put that up on this video when it comes out.
I appreciate that.
So that it's there. And I just want to make sure it's CT Bail Fund.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a .org or something, or is it just CT Bail Fund?
CT Bail Fund.
Okay. So and then they can email you to kind of get in contact with you about that.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you for everything that you're doing. Yes. I want to thank you for reaching out to the youth the way you are. I think it's great that you're reaching out to, you know, only a man can speak to a man's perspective. I mean, I can give you all the kind of advice I want, but if I'm not a man, I can't be there with you, right?
Absolutely.
But I think what you're doing is great. And at some point, you know, also think about making it Cop G or something, Cop for Girls or something like that.
Yes.
You know, because there's a lot of our young girls who are also just like lost and not doing it. But there's a lot of things out there for women, though. I have to say, not that many things out there for men. So every time I have an opportunity to have someone like you here to talk about this stuff, I am like excited.
Me and my wife are about to start collabing.
All right.
Yeah, we're gonna talk. We're gonna bring the men
in, the
girls.
We've had her on this show. We love her.
We're gonna combine. We're gonna start combining. And we're gonna start doing for, you know, the adolescents. We're gonna bring the men, the girls and the boys together, and we're gonna both talk to them together and. From her experience and my experience, and, you know,
get it together.
Yeah,
thank you so much for being here.
Not a problem.
Thank you so much for watching. Again, this is Nina Perez at Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Don't you forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. It's Straight Talk, No Sugar Added. Go on our blog, straighttalknosugaradded.com. And we are so glad you stayed and watched this amazing show with us today. So be good to one another, treat one another with dignity and respect, and until next time.